welcome to Vic Concept College English with Ernest. In today's video, we want to discuss the basic format of a formal letter for WAEC and NECO examinations. Right. Now, we're going to begin by defining a formal letter. So, what are formal letters? Formal letters can be defined as official letters or business letters. And you can also say that they are professional letters that are written with specific guidelines, rules, and formats. Please take a good note of that. Okay? They are often written for official purposes, for business purposes. They are application letters. And they are written as well for business inquiries. Right. So in this video, we want to discuss the basic format. That is what you need to know basically as far as a formal letter writing is concerned. Now, we have about 9 aspects to the format of a formal letter. And I put them very quickly on the board. The first one we have is, so now here we have the sender's address, the date, the receiver's address, the salutation, the title, the introduction, the body of the letter, the conclusion, and then the subscription. So these are the 9 vital aspects, okay, that make up the basic format of a formal letter. All right, now let's go. The sender's address. Now you are going to put it at the top right-hand corner. When we're discussing informal letter, we said an address basically contains 3 lines. The name of the school, and then the particular location of the school on the street. All right? And then the place where the school is situated. Just 3 things. But sometimes you can write postal address. In that case, you're going to write the name of the school, then the P.O. box, that is the post office box number, and then the town that the school is situated, and then you are done. That is if the letter is going within the same state. And like we established in informal letter, if the letter is going out of the state, then you are going to attach state to your letter before you end the writing of your word address. And let us assume we are writing a letter, okay, that is going within the state. That is a formal letter that is going within the state. So we are going to say something like, you take your hand to the right hand corner of your what? Paper. You say, Ikeja. So this is what we have. Ikeja Senior High School, comma, Oba Akinjobi Road, comma, GRA Ikeja. That is in the context of a letter that is going within the same state, Lagos, for example. So this is the sender's what? Address. Now the next thing you do is to write the dates. That is the next format that we are going to consider. Remember when we were discussing the informal letter, we said you can use the slant form. Okay, we're not going to be treating that one again in this video. And then we also said there is what you call the open format, where you are not going to use the punctuation. Like just like the Keja Senior High School, no comma, or Bakijobi Road, no comma, Keja GRA, no full stop. So just leave it open. So these are ways you can write address. Now the next thing is the date. Here comes a major distinction or difference between formal and informal. While we were treating informal letter, we said categorically that the date follows immediately after the next line. That is, you write the date in the next line, immediately following the address. But it is not so in formal letter. Please take a good note of that. In formal letters, you leave a line before writing the date. Right. So let's show what we mean. So here we go. 22nd January 2025. Correct. Remember, there's another way you can write your date that we explained when we were treating our informal letter. We said that you can have month before day. So in that case, you're going to have January 22. Then the next thing we're going to be talking about is the what? The receiver's address. Now watch again or listen out to this. The receiver's address follows immediately after the date. the next line after the date. So you don't leave a line to start your receiver's address. Informal letters typically has only one address, which is the what? Sender's what? Address. But formal letters, okay, have what? Two addresses. That is the receiver's address, okay, the sender's address first in the top right hand corner, and then the receiver's address and the word following by the left hand word side of the paper. So we go. Let us assume we are writing this letter to the principal of our school. I think I remember one of the questions in WAEC NECO that says there was a fight at the dormitory where a junior student was badly injured, and the principal, okay, now demands for what? For facts about the cause of the incident, or expel all the what? The hostelers, okay? So something like that. If I write such a letter to our principal, that is when you are writing a letter to your principal, you are still going to repeat the address of your school. Take note of this. In that case, this is what we are going to get. The principal, Ikeja Senior High School, Oba Kijobi Road, GRA Ikeja. Alright, now take a good note of something here again. When writing the receiver's address, some students used to wonder if they should include the PO box of what? That's the box number of the receiver's address. Yes, it is important. That is in the case where you are writing to what? Maybe newspaper editor or the local government chairman. So you are going to include the box number in the receiver's address. The next thing that happens is the salutation. That's the greetings. Remember at the beginning we said that a formal letter follows a strict pattern. So there is a strict guideline or a strict rule for greeting the person that you are sending the letter to. However, under the salutation of what? Formal letter, I also like you to note that sometimes you can use the name of the person you are writing to, but in formal context. Let's say you are writing to a feminine gender, that is a woman, and you know the woman's name. Let's say the woman's name is what? Mary. So you can say, dear Mrs. Mary. It's allowed. That is formal. It's acceptable. Now, if you use the what? The receiver's name in the salutation, when you are closing the letter, that is in the subscription, you will use yours sincerely. But if you did not use the name of what? The person that you are sending the letter to, then in the subscription, you are going to say yours faithfully. So, we are saying automatically that formal letter can be what? Closed with the subscription of yours faithfully and yours sincerely. When we get that, we'll explain better. Now, let's go. Once again, the salutation follows immediately after the words, the receiver's address. You don't leave any line. So, and don't forget, like explain under what informal letter writing, the dear will start from the margin. So we go. So, this is what we have. Now, in our context, where we are writing this letter to the principal of our school, you are typically going to use their principal. So that one is okay. But if you are writing maybe for application, you can say what? Dear sir. And if you are aware, okay, that is if you know specifically that the person is a woman, you can use what? Dear madam. Not dear ma. Dear madam. Then, if you know the person's name, you say what? Dear Mrs. Mary. But you may know the person's name Mary. Then you don't know whether Mary is married or not. So you are going to use dear M'(S) Mary. This means I am not sure Mary is married or not married. So you use MS Mary. Alright, so let us go. Then the next thing we have is after the words, the salutation, we have the word, the title of the letter. The title of the letter. Now listen. The title of the letter follows immediately after the salutation without leaving any line. Good. Let me tell you about 3 rules around the title of a formal letter. The first rule is that when writing the title of a formal letter, don't write the line and put full stop or comma. No. It is just a caption. So it is not a sentence. Alright? Whatever title you say, a letter of application or a letter of complaint. Sometimes you can just write complaints. It's acceptable. Alright? Then if you want to ask for information, you can say a letter of inquiry. Or just say inquiry. Alright? You just put it as the title of the letter. No comma, no full stop after that caption. Then that's one rule. Another rule is that when writing the title of a formal letter, every major word like noun, verb, adverb, and adjective must begin with a capital letter. Why? Words like what we call them grammar words, okay, like what? Preposition, pronouns, and articles, they begin with small letter. So take a good note of that. So now, if you know you are not so sure about words that must begin with capital letter and words that must begin with small letter, write everything in word, capital letter. It's acceptable. So that one will save you from the word stress or having to know, look for which word will begin with small letter or which one will begin with capital. Then another thing again, that's the second rule which I've just explained now. The third rule around the writing of the title of a formal letter is that if you write the title in lowercase, a small letter, so that the major word, each major word begins with the capital letter, you underline. You underline the caption. But in the case where you are not sure of the word to begin with capital and the word to begin with small letter, you decide to play or choose the safe side of writing everything with capital letter, don't underline. So you can see that writing with capital letter is safer. And that will save you from the stress of having to underline the title or to look for which word is going to begin with capital and not. So then just maintain the capital letter format of writing the word title. So, here we go. Facts of the fight in the dormitory. So, this is the question format or sample that we are using for this illustration, where the principal has asked for facts, okay, about the fight that took place between a senior student and a junior student in the dormitory, all right, that led to damaging the eye of a junior student. This is the caption. Dear principal, the salutation, then you have your words, comma, don't forget that. The introduction. Now, how do you write the introduction? When writing the introduction, which is the first paragraph of a formal letter, there is a basic distinction or difference, okay, between the formal and informal letter here. And what is it all about? Remember, in the first paragraph of an informal letter, you exchange pleasantries, like sharing good moments with the person that you are writing to, either present or past moments. But in the case of a formal letter, you don't need all that. The first paragraph of a formal letter could be relatively short and much shorter than what you should expect. It's something like that. The reason for that is this. In a formal letter, please take note of this. The first sentence must be the purpose of the letter. Full stop. Basically, there's no argument about that. There's no negotiation. I repeat, the first sentence of a formal letter, okay, is all about the purpose of the letter. You capture it there. Don't beat about the bush. Another thing you can do, maybe just to add one or two other sentences to back that up. But if you feel that is not necessary, after stating the purpose of the letter in the first paragraph of the letter, the next thing you do, like some questions would require you to introduce yourself. How would you know the type of question that you are going to have to introduce yourself in the first paragraph? Very simple. When you see a question in WAEC or NECO, and the question says, as the senior prefect of the school, write a letter to the principal explaining the whole incident and everything that transpired. That type of a letter would require you to introduce yourself in the first paragraph. So you can see, it is the way the question is given to you in WAEC or NECO that will determine the way you are going to structure the introduction paragraph. But ultimately, if the question is not given to you by specifying your title or position in the school, you wouldn't need to introduce yourself in the first paragraph. So let's go. In the case where you are writing to the principal about the incident that took place at the what? Dormitory, remember, after writing the title of the letter, you have to what? Leave an indent, which you are going to maintain, okay, throughout the letter. That is a space for the paragraph to begin. So you are going to say something like this. You're going to say, I am writing with regards to the fight at the dormitory where a junior student was given a black eye the previous day. Fine. This is a very good caption, okay, for the first sentence of the introduction. But as far as this letter is concerned, you may need to say, I was an eyewitness, what? To the word, incident. This is what we have. After stating the purpose of the letter in the first sentence, then you say, I was an eyewitness to the word, incident. That's a second sentence that you have got now, added to the first sentence that stated the purpose of the letter. Then you go ahead and say, or state the time the incident took place, the date the incident took place, as well as the place, or the venue the incident took place, or where the dormitory is what? Located. Alright? So, with this, you would have captured a well-written introduction to this particular word, formal letter in context. Now, after you have written the words, the first paragraph, the next thing you do is to proceed to the body of the letter. So what do you do in the body of the letter? You go back to the question. Don't forget, the question is asking, okay, for facts about the words. The what? The incident that took place at the dormitory that led to giving a junior student a black eye. So you go ahead and develop that in body 3. So in body 1, you can explain how the quarrel began. Okay. Results of the incident. Your opinion. So in body 1, you can explain how the quarrel began. Then in body 2, you can talk about the result of the incident. Then body 3, you can talk about what? Your opinion about the entire incident. So with this, you would have been able to capture a what? Good body part of the formal letter, okay, that you are writing to your principal about the quarrel in the dormitory. Right. Before we leave off the writing of the body of what? Of the letter, I want to give you some guidelines, okay, that you must follow when writing the body of a formal letter. Now, here are the basic tips that you must have at the back of your mind while developing the body of this formal letter. Okay? Number 1, organize the paragraphs logically. As there must be a flow. What that means is that there must be a reason why you are transiting from paragraph 1 to paragraph 2. There must be a connection between paragraph 1 and 2, and then paragraph 2 and 3, and so on. Then, each paragraph should address a specific point. Don't muddle up the letter, okay? Don't jam 2 or 3 points together in the same paragraph. No. Each point must begin with what? A separate or from a separate what? Paragraph. If you have to write the letter in 6 paragraphs or 7 paragraphs, it's acceptable, but at least that would be enough. Alright? So if you have more points to develop and to extend the writing of the body, it's acceptable. Then the third one is that you should avoid sounding casual. This is very important about what? The writing of what? Formal letter. Avoid the use of slang. Avoid the use of weak expression. Remember, it's an official letter. It's a professional letter. So you must use sound language. Don't sound casual. Alright? Don't use slang. And don't use figurative language. Don't use idiom. Alright? And if you're not sure of a particular vocabulary, don't use it. Don't use contraction. Remember, I stated categorically when we were treating informal letter that you are allowed to use contraction. But as for formal letter, you are not allowed to use contraction. You're not allowed to use weak language. You use constructive language or standard English. Then finally, another thing that I must mention before we move off the body of the formal letter is that you must learn to use connectors, all right, to ensure a flow. Connectors are linkers. We can also call them linkers in English. All right, you use them to connect sentences together, and you can also use them to connect paragraphs together. And they include words like, we call them grammar words, like also, therefore, and because, and so on. More so, furthermore, okay, finally, at last. These are connectors, so you learn to use them in formal letter. Then finally, we move to the word, the conclusion. Now here we go. The conclusion, okay, to a formal letter is very simple. All right? Remember when we're talking about the conclusion, all right? So an informal letter, we said you should extend greetings. In formal letters, you don't extend greetings to anybody, all right? But you should use the general format of concluding a writing, like I explained in our treatment of informal letter, by summarizing what you have said, okay, so far in or within the letter. So you can tell the principal that I have told you, sir, you can introduce it with sir, comma, I have told you in this letter that the quarrel started this way, and then this was the result of the incident, and then at the end of the day, this was what we expected, but at last, that was what we got. Okay, so that's a way of summarizing. Another very important thing that you must understand about the conclusion to a formal letter is to write a sentence that is indicating anticipation of a positive response to what you have discussed in the word letter. So you can say, I look forward to a favorable word response from you, okay, to this incident. So you can say something like that. So you show anticipation, okay, of a favorable response from the principal. All right? With that, your job is what? Done. So that is how to write the conclusion towards a formal letter. If you are writing a letter of application, the title is going to be Application for the Post of a Receptionist. That one is very common. And then you will write what? Hereby write to apply for the post of receptionist in your company. Then you state where you saw the information about the what vacancy, whether it's newspaper of the date, you mention the date, just like we have there the date, the venue, and all of that. But you will not talk about venue in case of referencing a newspaper. So talk about where you found the advert. If it's roadside advert, then you talk about where you saw the advert before applying for the job. And then in the body, you talk about your work experience and why you think you are best candidate for the job. And then in the next body, you can talk about, okay, where you have worked before and the experience you have gathered over there that you think you're going to bring to the company. And then finally, you express what anticipation of a favorable response to your letter. So these are ways you can write if it is talking about an application letter. Then after writing the conclusion that way, you go for the subscription. It's very simple. It chooses a particular format. So we'll talk about the subscription. Number one, since you started your sender's address from the top right hand corner, the subscription is going to be written at the bottom right hand corner. Take note of that. And after this explanation, I'm going to explain the context where you can start the address from the top left hand corner of the letter. And what happens? I'll talk about that very shortly before we call it off or call it a day. So, under the subscription, you go to the bottom left hand corner, and then you write yours faithfully. Alright? Because you did not use the name of the principal. Remember, I explained that at the beginning. So they're going to say yours faithfully, comma, then you sign and close your signature. No comma, no full stop after your signature. Then you write your name. You write your surname and your word, first name, and your surname first. For example, let's say your name is what? John Mary. So, Mary. No full stop, no comma. So this is how to close a word, a formal letter, in the context where you did not use the name of the word, of the receiver. Good. Now let me mention the case where you got the name of the receiver. That's where you use the name of the receiver and how you are going to close such a letter. Now, here is a case where the person you are writing to, or the name of the person is known to you. And you wrote, Dear Miss Mary. So this is how you're going to write it. So if you happen to write the salutation like this, it will tell on the word, the subscription. The subscription will quietly change to yours sincerely, signature John Mary. What happened now, or what led to the change, is because you got the name of the resident, and you use the name of the resident in the salutation, so the closing is yours sincerely. This is acceptable in WAEC. So with this, our journey has been done, but I want to show you one format that students, normally ask questions about, all right? And we're going to talk about how you can treat something like that, and what can lead to writing that format of a formal letter. And that is very simple, like moving the address. This will ask, what type of address do we have to write? I mean, what type of formal letter do we have to write the address in the same side, like top left and everything? Yes, let me explain before I craft it out for you, and then we'll call it a day. In that type of, or in that format, we can say it's not WAEC or NECO format. So that is not exam format as far as the Nigerian system or the British system is concerned. Okay? This is what WAEC and NECO would accept from you. But when you are writing, in general context, that is in the business world, like you're writing an application letter, it's going to be a matter of choice. Maybe you're even typesetting the work. So you can move the addresser's address to what? The top left-hand corner. So that is where you normally have something like that. But if you should do that, the subscription would also move to the word bottom left-hand corner. Don't forget that. Quickly showing that to you here. Leave a line to bring the date here. So this is what we have. Maybe when you are writing an application letter for a job or for the position of a receptionist, you decide to move your address to the top left-hand corner, it's acceptable. And every other thing will follow. Then the next place you're going to make a change again is when you get to the words, the subscription. You move your hand to the bottom left hand of what? The paper. With this, your job would have been done. So this is what we have, for you on the format, or the basic format of writing a formal letter. How we talk about the sender's address, the date, the receiver's address, the salutation, and then the what? The title. And then we talk about how to write the first paragraph and the body of the letter, and rules for crafting the body of the letter, how to write the conclusion, and then the subscription. If you use the top right-hand corner format or the top left-hand corner. I do hope you gained something from this video. If so, kindly give it a thumbs up. And remember to share with those that you think might need it. Until we see again.